name is Jake Maaske. It is Monday, June 1st, 2026, and welcome to the Debateless News Rundown. Shoot us a follow at Debateless, drop a comment, just let us hear it. How do you feel? 5 months down in the year, and here we are in just regular old June. Just a normal June. Here, I can give you, we got some notable June events. Summer solstice, longest day of the year. Sun will be most as north as it can be. That's something. Flag Day. Can't forget about Flag Day. The U.S. Open. That's a big one. That's a big one. Can't forget about the U.S. Open. One of my buddies is getting married this month. That's exciting. That good for him. NBA ship. Stanley Cup Finals. Speaking of the Stanley Cup, were you here 2 weeks ago when I told you the Canada Cup drought is going to continue? No cup since 1993. It was Game 7 that night. The Montreal Canadiens were playing the Buffalo Sabres, and I told you it did not matter. It did not matter if the Habs won that game or not. They were going to get rolled. Whopped was the word I used by the Canes, Carolina Hurricanes, and yeah, you bet that happened. Canes in 5, easy. Bye-bye Canada, maybe next year. So got that one right. But regular old June, just a normal June with nothing specific. Our collection today, Tehran suspends talks with the U.S. over Israeli attacks in Lebanon, some devious activity from a Senate candidate in Maine. New Jersey is the current location of the anti-ICE protester powwows now. Paris was going crazy over the weekend after PSG won the Champions League. Long-awaited Carmelo Anthony's murder trial is underway. He was the killer of Austin Metcalf in April of 2025. The disastrous saga of the stabbing of Henry Nowak comes to its conclusion, righteously, in my opinion, with a life sentence, and a pair of left-wing pundits are banned from the UK. Let's start with Iran. So, yep, no talks going on anytime soon. Remember when Rubio said we were a few days away, just a few days away from a peace deal last week? I think we all saw that one coming. I don't think any of us believed that, because something like this was going to happen. Iran says no. It's just Israel starts chucking bombs again, this time in Lebanon. Again, another attempt to establish dominance, going after Hezbollah. Hezbollah, of course, primarily funded by Iran, basically a proxy of Iran. That makes Iran very upset. Oil price, of course, had a big old green candle this morning. It's legit starting to look like a meme coin right now. Just price just flying up and down like a ping pong ball, just bouncing over and over again. Great time to be an insider trader. I guess it always is, but this one you're just on cloud nine. You're just ripping options left and right. Like you're making a lot of money there. Then Trump, of course, swiftly went to damage control mode. Immediately talked to Netanyahu. The shooting will stop. I mean, it's just we've seen this over and over again in the last few months. There's really nothing else to say. I'm still personally projecting the war with Iran concludes by the end of summer. I just don't see it anytime very soon. I'm sure the next time we hear, peace deal is close, probably not. We'll see. We're going to have to get there one day, you would think. On to this one. Democrat Senate candidate Graham Plattner is under fire for being disloyal to his wife on Kick of all places. Okay, first thing, get rid of the latter half. We'll get to that. This is about as run-of-the-mill as it gets. This happens all the time. The whole politician cheats on his wife ordeal. It's about as common as finding wood in the forest. This isn't new stuff. Every single election cycle you will hear more than one of these stories, but this is where it gets interesting. Yes, he was sending explicit pictures to women, but the fact that it was on Kick, and his account is still activated, not Kick, Kick, not the streaming site, Kick. See, this will age me. I didn't even know Kick was a thing still. I just thought that app was gone. Back in my day, I would find this via iFunny. Yeah, that's really aging me. On iFunny, there'd be pop punk and grunge accounts, music genres. They're I'll join our Kick. So I did. I was probably 13. And you would just talk to each other about Green Day. Oh man, did you hear Pearl? You listen to Pearl Jam today? Like very basic stuff. Like it was like your Telegram, your Discord, whatever. But this is where it gets weird. Okay, here's the thing. Yeah, kick. According to the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, it is apparently, and I quote, a predator's paradise. This is where it's no longer run of the mill. This is where it gets potentially ugly and gross. It's just kick. Like, what a callback. It was just so strange. To be fair, no one knows who he was talking to. That hasn't been disclosed. Just that he was. Just a wild one here. Kick, like, yeah, pop punk and grunge. You could tell there were weirdos in there. You just stayed away. You just stuck to. I learned how to play Welcome to Paradise on bass today. Ain't that cool? You get like 5 likes. But just what are you doing on Kick? As a, what are we doing? I'm moving on. Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey, has been the new location of anti-ICE demonstrations and protests this past week. Of course, it's been chaotic. You had protesters throwing rocks at horses, tear gas getting chucked back, fires were getting started, just a mess. Hunger strike from prisoners inside, tension on the outside. Of course, there are also counter protesters that were pro-ICE doing their thing. It was just a recipe for disaster. There were complaints by politicians about meager and inedible food portions. DHS swiftly claimed that to be a hoax, quoting, "No lawbreakers in the history of human civilization have been treated better than illegal aliens." Sure, a 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew is implemented. Of course, dozens of the protesters can't tell time or read. So a few score had been arrested, a few score. And it's just, what are we doing here? Like, this is going to be going on all the summer, by the way. Like, this isn't going to stop. The anti-ICE activity, there's no end in sight for this. It's just like a bunch of spiritually destroyed people LARPing as resistance for what? These people are having the pleasure of going home to their home countries. Remember, America is evil and fascist or whatever. We got to get them out of here. We're doing them a favor. I just don't think they just don't get it. Like, it's just anti-American people. They want to keep them here. They feel obligated. We owe them something. We've been through this. Just go to climate change protest or something more up to your speed, because they just don't understand what they're actually doing here. Protesting ICE. I really just don't think they get it. But more extreme than this makes the New Jersey activity look like a kindergarten, playground brawl. More Paris, quite literally experiencing riots after PSG won the Champions League over the weekend. There were literal fires near the Eiffel Tower. Looked very dystopian. One man died, 219 recorded injured, 780 people arrested. At least that's a little bit more than a couple score. 780 that's a small town. And at least 15 cities reported looting. Just total chaos in general. And then, of course, you had Macron denounce it, because what else are you going to say? Like, hey, city's on fire. Got to say something. Others across Europe, like Poles, ruffled their feathers, going and be like, yeah, we celebrate hard too, but we don't pull this shit. Like, this was like actual riot activity. And you've seen it. The Euros go crazy when their teams win. They're all lined up in the city square, the city center, as they call it. They're all jumping up and down, dancing, acting a fool. But, fires don't get started every time. People aren't looting every time. So the Poles had to ruffle their feathers a little bit. Some politicians pointed out, this is interesting, how diverse the riots were, the virtue of diversity, of course. With one of these politicians having desires to implement facial recognition software to identify every rioter, strong desires for the future, and I just see that, and that's just kind of the game plan, guys. The West has been diverse long enough to have statistics and studies that show more diversity equals more chaos. Since nobody wants to lessen the diversity, the only other path you have is extreme mass surveillance. It's bigger picture. This is the game plan for the West. Like this goes beyond one singular riot, one singular football match, as they would say in Europe. This is just what it is. Oh, don't want to kick him out. I guess we have to have a camera on everybody. I guess we got to make sure we know what everyone's up to. It's risky stuff. Like, good example of it. You got politicians just telling you straight up, yeah, we need this. This is how we're going to identify them. This is how we're going to do it. Well, we'll see. Then real quick one here. Carmelo Anthony, killer of Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas, is finally going to court a year later. If you don't remember or know what I'm talking about, Anthony went into a tent at a track meet, stabbed Metcalf to death. Eventually, this is what's messed up, is he eventually raised hundreds of thousands of dollars via donation. People trying to fight racism or whatever. The family used it to buy a new house because, sure, well, of course, why not? The donation, that thing has just gone off the rails in general. Like your give, said, go, and all that. Like political statements are made on those websites now, on those donation websites. Like that is where people literally put their money where their mouth is and plant their values. But yeah, he got a ton of money. I remember this. I was there. Well, I wasn't, but I was there observing, lurking. Of course, Anthony, he will try to claim self-defense. I don't know how that's going to work because there's really no evidence to prove it. The video footage was only outside of the tent, so you see him come in, you see him come out, and that's really about it. No inside the tent footage. I know a lot of people have been waiting a while to see how this one shapes out. The donations just pissed a lot of people off. So this one has been awaited for a while. I'm sure I'll be back to cover it when it finally gets resolved. I don't know how long this one's going to take, though. This one could take a hot minute. One that did end, though. Last time I'll mention this one. Been with us before, you know this one just pisses me off. The Sikh man who stabbed Nowak to death has been sentenced for life. Good riddance. Wow. Europe did something right for once. Rejoice. Well, to be fair, they would have done something right by not letting him in the country in the first place, but good for you, I guess, Europe. Prominent media coverage of this has encouraged politicians to mention how disgusted they are with the Sikh man using racism as an out. Don't get me wrong. If there wasn't an uproar, if there was no uproar, they would just ignore it. It'd be business as usual. So at least good on the people of the UK to at least be loud about it, because that's what else are you supposed to do at this point? Man, his vigil, people had to mask up and remain anonymous, just going to pay respects because they didn't want to get targeted, because they didn't want to be called far right. Like, that's just the mentality there. Got to be anonymous to go visit a vigil. Like, that's messed up. But at the same time, locals still aren't satisfied to where they want police officers involved to be charged as well for letting Nowak die in handcuffs, not listening to his pleas. At least, okay, I like ending with good news. So we're going to go to the good news. Well, maybe this isn't good, but it's funny. Of course, Cenk Uyghur. And guess who? Guess who? LaRoche appears again. His nephew, by the way, Cenk's nephew, Hasan Biker, both banned from the UK. They were supposed to speak at a festival, but that just simply ain't happening anymore. What's really funny is because, no, it's not because Hasan specifically, I don't think Cenk believes this, but it's not because Hasan wishes for the downfall of the West and that he would love to see London burn. He wants to see the blood on the streets. Favorite thing to say. But because of anti-Israel rhetoric. Because of course it is. What else would it be? You gotta have your priorities. That's what their priorities are at. Like, to be honest, I really don't have much to anything to add here. The bigger picture should be obvious. Like, anti-Israel rhetoric. It's just too on the nose. Like, of course. Of course. Like, yeah. People making jokes about how, finally, the first time the UK didn't allow a Muslim in. Now, to be fair, Cenk isn't Muslim. He is agnostic, I believe. But I thought that was funny, because like, oh, of course, like, what else would it be? I just enjoy seeing Hasan take L after L in recent history. Nobody deserves it more. I just want to see him in Turkey. Turkey or China. Maybe they can get spicy with it and send him to like Zimbabwe or maybe like a Mozambique, something like that. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Hope you have a great rest of your evening, a great week, and a totally normal June. Just another June, just a regular month and a regular year. Just June. Follow us at Debateless on Rumble, X, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm Jake Maaske. Stay blessed.